The toughest part of homeschooling is choosing your homeschool curriculum because the right or wrong curriculum will have the greatest impact on your homeschool year. And that could be good or bad. The good news is if you pick the wrong curriculum, you just change it up for the next year. But when you pick the right homeschool curriculum, it can feel like you are hearing the angels sing. Hey, Mom. So, welcome to the Life Unboxed podcast, where we talk about all things momtrepreneur, from raising your kids to running a business, and the most important, keeping your sanity. I'm JODIE the mom, a successful virtual assistant and homeschool mom of 6 for almost 10 years now. I'm not that old, though, I promise. So, my goal with all of this is to give you as much help as possible so that you can confidently start a business and homeschool your kids. So, be sure to check out lifeunboxed.blog, if I can talk, and download your free Mom Boss 2.0 workbook. If you like to be a rebel mom and break all the rules, then this is definitely for you. And remember, you can support the show with coffee, and you can visit Ko-fi, that's ko-fi.com/lifeunboxed blog, and buy this mom some coffee. So now let's hear the angels sing for you. Let me first tell you about the time we had that wrong curriculum. Our first year of homeschooling was a total disaster. Yes, it was miserable. It was just bad. Okay. It was just really bad. And I really didn't know if I was going to continue the following year. So I started our first year with excitement and optimism. We were finally living our impossible dream. I was finally getting to work and homeschool. So for 10 years, I was wishing and hoping and thinking and praying that I would be able to work from home and homeschool. And I get into more of that story, so I'll leave a link in another show. So I'll leave a link for you in the description below. And we finally arrived. Now, I am a second generation homeschooler. I was homeschooled from 5th grade through 12th, and nothing was going to surprise me. I was fully prepared for whatever came my way. That is until I actually started. Since I had just been laid off from my job, money was tight, like super tight. I heard about a local school district that offered a homeschool program. You enrolled through them and they provided all the curriculum. Perfect, right? So the boxes arrived and it was Christmas in July. I opened them with enthusiasm. But when we started the year, my heart quickly sank. This curriculum was not designed for homeschooling. It was created for a classroom setting. This was not homeschool curriculum. The disappointment was harsh and overwhelming. What I thought was going to be a glorious year turned into a disaster. All because of the curriculum. And we couldn't change it that year because we didn't have the budget for it. So we trudged through it. And let me tell you, when I say it was a disaster, it's not an exaggeration. It was really bad. But we trudged through it because we had no money to buy any more curriculum. I have like this random hair on me. All right. So almost 10 years later, we're still homeschooling. Yes, we did make it through that first year. It could really only improve after that one. So never judge your entire homeschool on one year. So we've gone through a lot of curricula over the years. Some work great for one kid, but not for another. It worked great for a certain grade level, but not so much for another. Then others we found were a perfect fit and we haven't changed it. So it is okay to try a different curriculum. You are not married to your homeschool curriculum. Give yourself permission to change it up. If it is really bad, you can even switch homeschool curriculum mid-year. Yes, that is allowed, and I talk about that in another show. We homeschool so we can tailor learning to each individual child. This is one of the greatest strengths of homeschooling, so embrace it. If the curriculum is garbage, change it. So I want to get into homeschool curriculum that we are currently using. So again, we've used a lot of curricula over the years, and I give the full lowdown in the Momtrepreneur's Guide to Curriculum, and that is 55 pages of sanity-saving tips. Yes, link will be in the description below. So if you're a working mom, then it is imperative that you choose the right curriculum that will work for your kids and your schedule. So while I can't share all the curricula we've used over the years, so get the Momtrepreneur's Guide to Curriculum, I want to share the ones we are using this year. So I'm homeschooling the 5 oldest kids. Yes, kindergarten was a success despite my terror of teaching it, and I talk about that. I have a show from the start of last year. I think it was a coffee chat as well, or it was a coffee chat. So I will link that below because this is the end. We've survived kindergarten. So the 3-year-old pretends she is homeschooled as well. So we kind of have 6-ish. Okay, so for this coming year, I will have a high school senior and a sophomore, and they really grow up fast. It is amazing. I'll have an 8th grader, a 4th grader, and a 1st grader. So that is a lot to cover, and they are all different and all have different learning styles. So that means we use different homeschool curriculum for everybody. Okay, so let's talk about the homeschool curriculum I am using for my 2 high schoolers. Again, a sophomore and a senior. So for the sophomore, we will use Monarch for the core curriculum. So history, Bible, English. We have used science in the past, but Master Books has come out with a new forensic science. So we wanted to try that this year. So that's why I'm not using science for Monarch. And I just think physics and chemistry are so much more interesting when it applies to figuring out the trajectory of a bullet. Just saying. For math, we use Christian Light, or he does, and this year he'll do geometry. He will also need a foreign language, which we will be doing through Monarch as well. We're also planning on a college-level video editing course, so a good resource you might want to check out, and I will leave this in the description below. Let me just write it down so I remember to leave it. Is University of California, San Diego Extension. They actually have programs specific for high school, and I was able to get him in to one of the college level classes. I will say this, I do think they're a bit discriminatory towards homeschoolers because they said I would need a letter from my district and all this, but where we are, we use umbrella school, so I was able to easily just get a letter from my umbrella school. So if you don't have that option, then definitely call BS on them requiring a letter from your local district. Because if you're like us, we have nothing to do with the local district whatsoever. And so it was kind of like, huh? But I was able to do it with the umbrella school. So that's the only caveat I would have. But if you want online college courses, now I've taken the courses. I took their copy editing certification. This was about 10 years ago, or 11 now. It was good. I've done a lot of online courses and I thought it was good. And also, at one point I was trying to transfer all my credits over to get a degree. And those credits did transfer without any issues. So just something to keep in mind. And for the senior this year, he's going to be doing all college courses. And he did the majority of college classes last year, and that is all he will do for his final year of high school. So he will still need one more year to complete his associate's degree, but I have no doubt that he will be able to do that. For our middle school, So for my daughter, who's going to be in 8th grade, she loves a Becca DVD curriculum, and it is expensive. I am just going to throw that out there. I always tell my husband I work so I can buy curriculum, and this is part of the reason like I do it so I can get the expensive curriculum that suits the kids. But it was painful when I bought it. It was painful. So she has been doing Abeka since she was in 2nd grade, and she told me never to change it. But we are making one slight change because she will also do forensic science with her brother. And her big plans are to complete 2 years in one, so we will see how far ahead she actually gets. Now for elementary. So I have 2 elementary students, 1st grade and 4th. And for the 1st grader, we are using Timberdoodle again. He is very much a hands-on learner. So let me just interject real quick. Find out what your kid's learning style is, because it's going to save you so much grief, for lack of a better word. It's just going to save you so much time and energy and effort. And it didn't take much for me to find out that he was a hands-on learner. Basically, when we attempted pre-K, and it was an attempt, we were not successful, but that's okay. I noticed that he was more engaged with the learning when he had objects in his hands that he had to use. So that set me on my quest to look for kindergarten curriculum that was very hands-on. And so Timberdoodle was. So we are doing it again for 1st grade as well, because he is hands-on. It's a great fit for him. So keep in mind, in the Momtrepreneur's Guide to Curriculum, it's not just about like the different curriculum we use. We actually get into learning styles. There are checklists for the 4 different learning styles. So it'll give you an idea of what your child's learning style is, and then you can start matching curriculum to his style. Like my oldest is totally a read-write. He did Abeka for 6th grade, and that was like a complete disaster for him. When he got into high school and Sunlight had said because Sunlight I always wanted to use it but never did because it was very parent intensive. And so when you get to high school, they changed that to make it student led and student intensive. So I got that for him for his freshman year, and he thrived. He thrived with reading books as opposed to going through textbooks. So understand how your child learns so that you can incorporate the right learning tools for your children. Okay, so back to my 1st grader. That was free. That was a tangent. That was a freebie there. So anyway, Timberdoodle incorporates a lot of learning and logic games, and he really enjoys playing the games. He will even play them outside of school hours. It's actually one of the things, like, I have to keep telling him, make sure you put it back so we don't lose it. You know how that goes. Anyway, so my 4th grader is doing Abeka DVDs as well, because I really needed to find him a curriculum that he could do independently. So he craves doing things on his own and needed a curriculum that enables him to do it. So his first year with Abeka was this past year, so 3rd grade. And we did have some ups and downs, but he eventually found his groove. And at the end of the year, he was so proud to tell everyone his grades. I think we were both surprised at how well he did with the homeschool curriculum, because it was a little touch and go there for a little while. So, Mom, as we wrap up, remember that you get to decide. So this post was not meant to be prescriptive in any way. It was simply to give you an idea of how we homeschool with a big family. Since I also work, I need a curriculum that will work for my schedule and for them. So if you want the lowdown on all the curriculum we've used over the years, because I'm not exaggerating when I say I think we've used it all. Or close to it. So grab your copy of the Momtrepreneur's Guide to Curriculum. Again, it's going to give you the inside scoop on the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it's so much more as well. It's going to talk about learning styles for your kids. It's going to talk about what different homeschool styles are. And then it's like I go grade by grade on the curriculum. So I am so glad you joined me today. If you want to help spread the word, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your podcast. Remember to check out the Life Unboxed store for all of your Mom Boss merch. And don't forget, you can support the show with my favorite thing, coffee. And that's ko-fi.com/Life Unboxed blog. Link will be in the description below. For more great momtrepreneur content, follow Life Unboxed on social media or check out lifeunboxed.blog. And be sure to share the podcast and video with your friends. And I will see you in the next show.